YouTube, what the crap's going on? HeirofCarthage here, back on Total War Rome 2, and I've got you another replay, and this time it's going to be myself playing as Egypt versus Baktria. This is a tough matchup because Baktria is just a tough army to beat, and here my opponent brings what I would consider to be a somewhat typical army from Baktria. You're going to have horse skirmishers, you're going to have Bactrian noble cav. The one thing he didn't bring here was armored elephants, and when I saw that I was actually really happy. Because when I took a look at my army, the only thing I had to deal with armored, and I did bring them specifically to deal with armored elephants, was these camel archers. And I brought them so, because I knew my opponent would have access to horse archers, so he would have a way to threaten my elephants. I wanted a way to threaten his elephants. Camel archers are not as cost-effective as mercenary Scythians, but they serve a dual purpose in scaring horses that are nearby. And they can pop flaming shot real quick, scare enemy horses, and cause a chain rout, especially if there's elephants around. It can be a horrible chain rout. So my opponent brings an army here that's pretty flexible. My army is actually 5 Egyptian pikemen, 3 Rhodian slingers, 2 Nubian spearmen. These guys are pretty good anti-cav units, and then I have 2 Ptolemaic cav on one flank, 2 citizen cav on the other, and my 2 camel archers, along with some African war elephants. And then I have a Sobek cultist here just to add additional scare effects. Keep them behind my line. Scare effects can be quite handy in a battle. So my opponent brings 6 thorax swords. He's got 4 Eastern javelinmen, which have a very punishing attack. He's got 1 Eastern spearman behind his line, and he's doing something that, again, is pretty typical, and you all saw me explain in the video with the Seleucids. Now, when I played as Carthage, he's got his army spread out to flank me. A lot of people move on the flanks with impunity, leaving their infantry behind, thinking, well, there's nothing he can do to my infantry. I've got my javelin men, they can protect against elephants, and his cavalry really can't do anything to my infantry. A lot of people have this fallacy of an idea that infantry are immune to cavalry. And I don't mean that my opponents believe that literally, but people get very comfortable with their cavalry thinking that it's not going to be, or their infantry thinking it's really not threatened. So check it out, I do something weird here. I form up into a noob box all of a sudden in the middle of the battlefield. This is really just to kind of throw my opponent off guard. I form into a noob box in one spot, but then get really aggressive with my cavalry over here, and I go ahead and pull back. So just pulling back here, he's got his horse archers in, but watch this right here. My opponent brings his horse archers here, no cavalry right here. Whoops, no cavalry right here. So my camel archers are now free to head straight behind his line, and he's got no cavalry here, and his horse archers are in the wrong position. I've got a spear box here. There's very little his cav can do against my spear box, but there's a whole lot that my cavalry can do against his infantry. So here my camel archers go around the flank. And at this point, my general also breaks loose. So I hope you all can see my plan here. I'm going to take the initiative. I'm going to slow this down. I'm going to take the initiative, and what I'm going to do, obviously his javelin men are capable of dealing with my elephants, but not if they're being assaulted by camel archers. His swords can't protect from my elephants, and that means that my camel archers are going to have free reign on his men. And here, again, going to take the initiative. His infantry are on the move. They're not braced for this kind of thing, so boom, citizen cav straight into him. Horses straight into him. He gets a few flaming javelins off, but now his men are going to have to run away because my camel archers are coming in from the flank, and his cavalry's too late. It can't catch up with my camel archers. Now, even though he's going to countercharge me here, the damage is done. His infantry's pinned down, my elephants are engaged, and there's very little he can do to stop them. He doesn't have any cavalry to keep me from running down his eastern javelinmen. So this is another example of initiative. Just put my men into a somewhat defensive formation where I don't have to worry about them. He had all of his cavalry focused on my spearmen. My spearmen can easily take down his cavalry, whereas he left his infantry wide open to this type of charge here. And you can see he's actually retreating now at the moment, which is great for me because as his units retreat, I'll start getting even more kills. Yeah, my camel archers, look at this, wrapped up a considerable number of his Eastern javelinmen. He's only got 2 units left on the field, and then my elephants still running all over his horses, and now with his Eastern javelinmen gone, what can he do to stop my elephants? Nothing. Let's put this into play, and then look at my Ptolemaic cav here, extremely strong charge unit. I'm going to charge right into the back of these swordsmen, and just keep chasing them. Because they kind of got shielded a little by another unit nearby, it helped them, but still my Ptolemaic cav getting in, doing a ton of kills. This one charging in, going to start racking up kills as well. Camel archers nearby, and then the units in the background are being run down by my camel archers, so look at that though. The scare effect of my elephants with my camel archers and just catching all of his men off guard, I cause a massive chain rout. His swordsman didn't have any support, and he's got swordsman routing right here with 94 men left. And then look at what my Ptolemaic cav's doing here, 33 kills. Got all these swordsmen pinned down. My elephants now really have nothing to fear except for his horse archers, which are out of position and being assaulted by my slingers. Now, he could potentially get into my box here. It's not the best box, so you're going to see me reforming to keep my slingers safe. And again, this spear box is just a diversion, and now he has to maneuver around it. So if he wants to get back to this main line, his horses have to come clear around my spear box, all the while taking Rhodian slinger fire. And again, there's very little to stop my elephants at this point. They can pretty much just run amok all over anything that he sends. And he doesn't have his own elephants to stop this, and he doesn't have his skirmishers to stop it anymore. Look at my camel archers here running down, routing sword units. This one was 41 men left, and I shattered it with the camel archer. How's that losing a camel archer to or a thorax sword unit to a camel archer? He finally gets his units over here to stop me, but at this point, again, the damage is done. My opponent's going to do a great job of trying to finish this battle off strong. He doesn't give up, but taking that initiative with kind of all of a sudden attack is going to be exactly what I needed to basically deal enough damage to my opponent with my elephants and other cavalry. And it was just a scare effect in the end that ended up doing it. Check out my Sobek cultist here, just kind of sitting around. They haven't done a whole lot so far. But yeah, look at the amount of damage caused to the Bactrian army here. This thorax sword unit's gone. Eastern javelinmen mostly destroyed. Bactrian noble horse with heavy losses. He has this one back here that's completely full still, and he's still got his Bactrian royal cav. And he's still losing thorax swordsmen that can't come back to the fight. I've killed 30 of these guys almost with my camel archers and keeping them from returning to the fight for now. And he's going to have to divert cav units out here to stop this from happening. So yeah, really definitely a good use of my... Look at that, 200 kills on a camel archer. That's pretty awesome. So again, just using my units to the best of their ability. So knowing that my pikemen were not going to be able to beat his infantry. There's no way that my Egyptian pikemen were going to be able to beat his thorax swords. It just wasn't going to happen. And so rather than give his thorax swords the opportunity to come in and kill my men, my opponent was very confident on the flanks when he moved around me. And a lot of people do this. They're very happy to move their cavalry around on your flanks. And what they don't realize is that you can use your infantry to slow down their cav while your cavalry deals the death blow to their infantry force. Now, if they have pikes, you're not going to be able to pull that off. But if they don't have any cavalry nearby, you could at least run down their skirmishers in the meantime. So, again, using my pikes here to do what little good they can do, which is to hold stuff off from the front. And they are a real threat to cavalry. They can't be pulled through. So again, here we go. You can see my opponent finally mops up my you know, I guess melee skirmish that I started here, and he's left with 3 thorax swordsmen, one of which is down 25%. One's in pretty good shape. 2 beat-up Eastern javelinmen, a couple of beat-up Bactrian noble horse, 1 full unit, and then he's got 1 horse archer unit is all he has left. So at this point, my opponent is in some big trouble because I have a lot of infantry left. I can box up, and there's nothing he can do about it. You know, normally if someone boxes up, you can bring in your javelins, you can pick and prod and all that kind of stuff, but he just doesn't have enough units left to do anything about me boxing up. And I've moved my slingers into range so that my Rhodian slingers can finish off what's left of his Eastern javelinmen. Once these Eastern javelinmen are gone, my opponent has no way to win this battle, because that's right now his only unit that's capable of killing my elephants. Well, he has one other unit, this mercenary horse archer, which strayed too close to my slingers. So this is the only other unit that's capable of it as well. Yeah, you can see his javelinmen now going to try to move forward. Now they're under sling fire. And in order to make sure that they can't get within range of my infantry or my elephants, I'm just going to bring my beat-up Ptolemaic cav unit through my own pikemen. See, he runs a charge here against my Nubian spearmen, plows them over, and pushes forward on into my slingers, because he wants to get rid of my slingers. That's fine. Again, I don't see this as an illegitimate type of move to get to my skirmishers, and it's because he plowed my men over in order to get there. Now again, pull-throughs I don't like, and he didn't really pull through massively here, but I don't mind a pull-through where you knock the men over with cavalry and go through. I just don't like the pull-throughs where people just kind of come and just yank their men on through, which my opponent definitely didn't do here. I'm just mentioning that. He didn't do it, didn't try it. He played really well in this game, in fact, and see, he's still after my slingers. I'm going to run him through my own pike line. Right here, I reform my pikemen, and they go into this weird porcupine. Rather than doing this, I should have just hit the J key, and my men will do an about face, because there is still some weird formation bugs with pikes. Yeah, anyway, keep all that in mind. So Elephant's mopping up the rest of his Eastern Javelin men, so again, at this point, that's all I needed. All I needed to do was kill his Eastern Javelin men. I lost my Ptolemaic Cav, but I got rid of his Eastern Javelin men over there, so now my opponent has no answer to my Elephants. And his swordsmen are not numerous enough to outflank my Egyptian pikes. So this is where pikes can do alright, because they can hold the sword unit at bay. Again, my Elephant's going to chase off his Bactrian Noble Horse, which was doing a good job over here. So you can see him chasing those units off. And his sword unit kind of getting around to the flank of my men, but taking a fair number of losses in the process. It's not very often you get to actually see me use pikes in these battles, so it's pretty exciting to bring a pike army and actually use it successfully. Twice now, once with Carthage and once here. So yeah, but again, neither time did I have to face armored elephants. So this could be potentially a much more dangerous game if armored elephants were involved. But of course, if my opponent had brought armored elephants, it would have meant that he had less tools as far as cavalry or skirmishers, one of the two. So yeah, at this point, I've caught his Agema Cav out here with my elephants, and he's got one more Bactrian Noble Horse over here that's wavering now as well. So yep, 329 kills with my elephants. Very effective day for them. These guys routed right before that final glory charge. Look at that, though. My Camel Archers, 207 kills on the Camel Archers. That is an important number in that match. My Citizen Cav, both of those relatively cheap units, racking up 102 kills on one, 82 on another because of that gutsy charge. 103 kills on one of my Ptolemaic Cav. One of my Ptolemaic Cav not doing so good, but hey, that risk paid off. And most of those kills on my Slingers were actually probably against his Horse Archers, a few against his Javelin men. So basically, I brought this army prepared for the Horse Archers. I brought the Slingers specifically for the Horse Archers, actually. And I brought my Camel Archers specifically to deal with elephants. Risky business, because 2 Horse Archers to deal with elephants is sometimes not enough. But I like the idea of me having the ability to have a mobile unit deal with Horse Archers rather than being tied down to foot skirmishers. Look at his Eastern Javelin men. No kills there. And his Sword Infantry got very few kills as well. Now, one of his Bactrian Noble Horse there, racking up 250 kills, an impressive number of kills. And Bactrian Noble Cav is a dangerous unit indeed, which is part of the reason why I brought pikes, because pikes are one of the few units that can actually stop them. Otherwise, spear units have a very difficult time putting an end to them. And again, Sobek Cultists never intended to get any type of major kills out of those guys. They're just there to hopefully scare enemy units and make them rout sooner. Anyway, hope you all enjoyed this one. HeirofCarthage signing off for now. I guess, well, I am going to sign off, but I think the important point here, like I was saying, is the initiative. Noticing that moment where you think you have an advantage and take it. And from the rest of the battle thereon, my opponent was the one having to fight to keep up. Whereas I was the one doing what I pleased and kind of being more in front of it. And it doesn't mean that being aggressive every time is going to win. Some players' play style suits them better to defensive play, so don't think that you're going to be able to do this and necessarily win every time. I think it more just depends on what play style it is that you start to gravitate towards. And with me, it's typically being a little bit shifty with my tactics, and then maybe looking defensive in both of those cases. I had a fairly defensive-looking army, but then got very aggressive with both of them at the right moment. But of course, I had to bring the right tools to do that. I don't know. Hopefully this makes sense, and it's not just a whole bunch of jabber. Just trying to pass on some ideas to you all. Anyway, HeirofCarthage signing off for real this time.